Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Bavarian, this is Crusader Kings 3, and the last episode left me with the thought, what the hell is even going on? We are of course Prince Veiafakies of Aquitaine, we are 30 years old, so honestly we still have a huge chunk of our life ahead of us, and we are of House Basque, the only member because of course it is our house, we founded it. Now, the story of this character is definitely multi-layered. We have this really lustful character, a character that is also, you know, trying to be a good person while definitely being a bit deceitful, a bit of a liar, a bit of a deceiver, but he never meant anybody ill. He tried to be this ideal knight that, you know, of course his father tried to be as well, and in the end was sabotaged by witchcraft. And so he pursued his niece, which sounds weird and should be weird, and of course Jazenda then rejected him. Jazenda has been living in England for quite some time and didn't really understand how we could even possibly think to understand her. After all, we haven't spent all that much time with her in these recent years. Now, all of that is already pretty disastrous because it leaves behind a midlife crisis entered 30-year-old that doesn't really know where to put himself and what to expect from the world. But then it just so happened that we dreamt of a war to end all wars. We dreamt of a horror that we couldn't imagine despite everything that we have seen on the battlefield. It is something that will stick with us until the day we die. I actually think this, yeah, look at that. The penalty that we get from Dreamt of a War to End All Wars will actually be countered by Chanson de Geste. I simply love that cultural tradition. And this dream, this vision, whether it is of the future or of the hell that we will enter when we perish because, you know, we are excommunicated and so on, we have learned a lesson. And the lesson that comes with this vision is the lesson that you must appeal to greater powers if you have been basically rebuked by the other greater powers. This has transformed us into a witch. And I will tell you, I was very much dumbfounded when this happened. I thought about it. I said to myself, how do you roleplay this? It is no wonder, of course, you know, that during this period, that in this era, there was a lot going on when it comes to the occult, when it comes to the notion of rites, of old traditions older than Christianity. But quite frankly, it is very difficult, I think, from a modern day point of view to really understand how significant, how impactful these legends were, especially considering how little we know about these legends. To bring this up on a historical context, when we look at, for example, Ireland, the Irish mythology is a total mess, and we know very little about it because when Christianity came, they adopted what they could, they, you know, involved whatever they could into their own narrative, and the rest was to be fully destroyed, fully expelled from the canon of culture, of Irish culture. Of course, it never fully worked, and Catholicism, I mean, it is literally depicted, I guess, in Ireland, but Catholicism, for example, in England isn't the same as Catholicism in the Basque lands and in Bohemia. What I'm saying there is essentially that, yes, of course, the church is the same, but the rites and the local myths and the local stories are very much different and still influence you. And so I looked around and I said, to better understand witchcraft, at the very least to a little degree, let's take a look at what we know. And there is a very interesting mythological person when it comes to the Basques that really caught my eye, and I want to thank the members of, you know, the Discord because they really discussed this at length as well. I want to thank all of the commenters. I mean, there was so much interesting input from, you know, where you could see this story go. Please do keep that up. That is basically the everything that keeps me alive here. But basically, we came to the conclusion that maybe Prince Veiafakies, you know, came to the conclusion that he sort of is walking, and his descendants are walking into a disaster. And it has to be stopped by appealing to the things that have been in the Pyrenees, in these mountains, for longer than the Christian God. I am talking about Akabels. Akabels, meaning the billy goat, or the black, so in this sense meaning that it is the black billy goat. That god, that deity, that demon, has a very complex history, which I will just admit it outright, don't fully understand, because it is a topic, again, that has been largely erased by Christianization. But, supposedly, this goat, god, deity, whatever, lives in the Pyrenees, lives in the mountains, and it protects the animals. It is the god of health and fertility. And if, for example, you shear a goat, a hailstorm will follow. Whether that is wrath or whether that is something, you know, a bit of a favor to the goat or something, that I don't know. But basically that appears to be the native Basque point of view of this goat. So it is a very strong entity that, you know, isn't necessarily bad, but Christianity, of course, says that it is a literal depiction, a literal, you know, basically celebration of the devil himself. And with that, I think we are without a doubt, you know, in witchcraft territory. We aren't really a witch. We don't have any magic powers. We're not getting a letter for Hogwarts, but we do believe in the supernatural powers of the entities, of the deities that have been here before Christianity and that may very well be here until after Christianity. And maybe that entity can protect us from what we have seen. That is how I approach it. And to really serve that entity, or rather to come closer to that entity, what I'm going to start is Prince Vea will attempt to seduce women, and we are already starting to do that. He will attempt to seduce women, basically robbing them via the fertility that, of course, you know, this goat promises and this goat protects, and then robbing them of their power, or maybe even including them in his witch coven, and hopefully being able to protect himself and his descendants from the disaster that is to come. He wants to be a noble knight, despite everything. Yes, he's a terrible, terrible person, but he wants to do what is best. And in this case, you know, he's going to seduce Dazin Umarid. It, of course, plays into his own desires. There's always something slightly psychopathic, I think, behind creating a cult. But that is what he is doing here. And let's see whether he can create a witch coven to worship that goat. Now, what I also did notice before we jump into this, of course, Duke Gilles Aznares is still very, very angry at us for stealing, well, rightfully taking Basque from him. But I did notice that Erega Azna II Lopez, you know, we talked about this. He is the person that I'm not so sure about. He has an imprisonment reason. He may imprison me at any given moment. After all, I am excommunicated and he is zealous, but I might be able to play into his hands. Because what I noticed is that the king is not in possession of the Vasconia dynasty banner, and clearly Gilles still fears me. So I will demand this artifact and attempt to give it to the king. I am not the leader of this family, it should be clear. I'm barely involved in family ordeals to begin with, but if I can say, Erega Azna, I recognize your rule. I recognize it both on the secular level, but also on the familial level. Maybe we can come out ahead. Either way, I will demand this, and let's see what the future holds. I think we will go less to war and more into schemes. Let's see what we can achieve. There you go. You have become the owner of Vasconia Dynasty banner. Yeah, that is right, Duke Gilles Aznares. You should hate me. I hate you too, my friend. And then I will gift you this banner. 37 opinion. That is quite significant. If, of course, you know, gets worse as it is, but we'll see. Was that really 37? It was just a 25. I have been lied to. The game has lied to me through and through. I'm very... Honestly, I'm a bit confused by that. Maybe it is the respect, and in total it amounts to 35, which is close enough, I guess. Well, either way, we have handed the banner over to the actual head of the dynasty and to the only person that can actually put it up, because nobody else has a throne room. Let's see, he should be putting it up quite soon. But before that, what is happening here? Few can provoke me like Dazin can, and as we find ourselves alone, she soon lays both insult and hand on me. I, of course, respond in kind. I must admit that the thrill of it, both the fight and the closeness to her sweating, heaving body, is enough to set my blood aflame. Soon I could not say if I'm truly trying to best her or just drawing the altercation out. This is actually quite interesting, in the sense that somebody also suggested that with our affairs, and with it being quite, you know, religiously minded, well, not religious, but ritual minded, maybe there will also be rumors about us and about the people that we are, you know, lovers with, that sort of thing. There has to be something that must be said when it comes to the topic of an unreliable narrator and just rumors. So, for example, right, when I look at the intrigue tab and I see that I'm a witch, then I am a witch. That is just a fact. But if, for example, somebody accused me of it without me having this secret, if somebody said my wife and I are incestuous, not that we have a wife, but sometimes that event fires, that doesn't mean that you're incestuous. It could just be a reputation. And in this sense, it seems that we're quite the odd lover. So is Dazin, I guess. She is wrathful as well, so that explains this altercation here. But this is one of those rumors that could definitely take hold. Obviously, we are excommunicated. We beat our lovers. It is insane. Well, either way, I will make sure that displeased smile leaves her face. So I guess that he assumes that they're both into it. Let's see whether that works out. But I do again think that this will spread rumors, and I honestly don't think we will be losing this excommunication. Now, I will be unmarried, I think, for the rest of our lives. I think we're not pledging to marriage unless we really take to somebody. We have been disillusioned with this Christian institution. Who needs it, right? And anyway, it didn't work out, which is quite negative, but It is what it is, right? You can't always influence it. Now, what I'm not sure about is, if we seduce her, and it is now happening, it is only a 40% chance, but if we seduce her and get a child with her, unless it is clear that we are lovers, I'm pretty sure that that child will be part of Mechipsa's dynasty, even if we reveal it. It will simply say muddled inheritance or whatever it is called, right? So the actual dynasty doesn't change there. Obviously, oh, wait, it worked. We actually did it at a 40% chance. Maybe we are finding our balance here. Maybe we are rediscovering our charm. And with that, I have lost some stress and we have made a lover. Now, I'm not going to make this public just yet. But I am wondering about it, just mechanically speaking, on how I can make the kids that are resulting from this actually into, you know, my kids, rather than the kids of the people that, well, the husbands. Now, this is devious, but that is exactly us. I think it also speaks to our lust. This is the daughter of Dazin, 17 years of age. Tadefi, I will attempt to seduce you. We are currently, of course, she really doesn't enjoy my company. I'm pretty sure, maybe I'll give this a moment, because what I'm thinking about is, we will soon be picking up home advantage, which is huge. Seriously, that is a huge modifier, so maybe we can benefit from that in time. Rude imprisoned Re Adelfonso. Oh. Wait, she imprisoned her husband because he's a murderer. Who did he kill? He's of the Cantabria dynasty. He killed Luder. That is... If you're not German, you don't know how funny of a name that is. I guess it just means Luther, right? But that is a very funny name to me. Wow. She imprisoned him. I guess it was a crime committed. I do wonder, was it potentially her lover? Doesn't have anything identifying him as such, and she seems to be quite alright. Well, I assume that they can settle that. Interesting. There seems to be a lot of infidelity. It doesn't exactly surprise me. After all, romancing is much more common with our culture here, so that is quite reasonable, I think, to assume. But yeah, we're doing quite nicely. I think he actually took to the present. Look at it. We are positive despite being excommunicated. And that is something, and I will regret these words if he imprisons me just in a second, but that is something that I actually highly value. In Rega Asna II, yes, we have many enemies here, trust me. The Duke of Poitiers, the Archbishop of Aquitania, all these people are evil and against us, but Rega Asna II has respected us despite his own zeal and the zeal of Primas Henrique. I really, really have to thank him. If he goes to war, I will follow. I think that is a fair statement right there. Now, what do we have here? Duchessa Fronilde of Poitiers. My nephew, Duke Gilles, incites me to such blinding rage that some days I can scarcely remember why we feud. Thank you, by the way, for who pointed that out. It matters little now. I hold his wife, Fronilde, in my embrace. Her passion's aflame. So we skipped the actual seduction here. And Duchessa Fronilde is in our arms. Soon, between my snide smiles and some well-paid gossips, Jill shall know. I will make sure that Jill knows. One forbidden kiss will seal this rivalry. My dear, have you ever kissed a real man? He becomes our rival with a 92% chance. You gain calculating cuckolder. I love that. I will do it. No, I will do it. I hate Duke Gilles Aznares of Poitiers. He's an enemy. He has definitely, without a doubt, betrayed my family, and he shouldn't be in power. It should have been Piares, you know? But instead, it is Duke Gilles. Let me just confirm that, right? This was, oh, it wasn't actually. It was Prince Asnas, right? It wasn't Piares. It was Prince Asnas. Piares would have inherited something more than he actually did. Well, either way, have you ever kissed a real man? She is, of course, quite seemly, so there you go. One kiss, then another, and he has become my rival. Now, I do have a question here. Yeah, it's so fascinating. That event can fire, but I have no shot at actually seducing her. Well, I mean, maybe it was just a one-night stand. Now, we have enough prestige where I could try to petition our liege, and I could petition him for transferring some land to us. We do, of course, deserve, you know, our claims here. We have a claim on Périgord, if I'm not mistaken, on Bigorra, on Tolosa, Angoulême, Oni. Wow. Yeah, so all of these, then of course on Bigorra, on Tolosa, we have claims, trust me. But I don't think I'm too eager to potentially upset my liege right now. You know what I would much rather do? I would much rather try to challenge you to a fight, but he would not accept it. What a disaster of a relative. What a disaster of a relative And you know what? Wait, why am I not seducing Tadefi? Did I... Oh, I'm waiting for the home bonus. Right. While we are waiting, I will be converting you to witchcraft. Dazine will become a part of this coven. This is the whole idea. Let's see whether we can build our own Basque coven that may have to compete with the Gelonese coven. We ousted them entirely from our house, or from our home here, but Duchess Matilde still lives, and she is the sister of Duchess Ida. What are the odds? You know what? I didn't even see it before. What are the odds that she is a witch and incestuous as well? I can only assume that some of her sons are from her father. Or apparently not. Quite interesting. Either way. Oh, what is this marriage? You're a disgrace. The Iniga family is part of the Vasconia dynasty. That is a disgrace. Navarra is not just on the side of Duke Gilles Aznares. They are on the side of the Duchess as well. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm very eager to unearth all of these fools. They truly, truly deserve it. And yeah, there you go. You should never count your chicks before they hatch, huh? Erega Asna II is now imprisoning me. How do I react? Prince Vea, of course. I mean, honestly, currently I'm not reacting at all. And what I mean by that is, I talked about it earlier, that I basically feel as though Erega Asna showed us a lot of leeway. He could have imprisoned us so much earlier. Maybe Primas Henrique is pressuring him. The question will be, what does Erega Asna II do when he has us imprisoned? I can't fight this war. I will not win. They will come down on me and completely destroy me. I will, if I haven't already, without a doubt, be executed. I will, if I'm not already destined for it, if I were to rebel. I think Prince Vea is smart enough to recognize this, and in his deceitfulness, he assumes that Erega Asna is simply doing this to placate the church. I sure hope so. Because I am now very much in prison. I have been captured and detained against my will by Erega Asna. I'm no longer free to return to my home or travel as I wish. Oh, and this will interrupt my scheme, won't it? Yeah. Well, either way, let's see what he does with us. Yeah, and in a way, it is quite exciting to see ourselves in prison. Because this is something that doesn't really happen often. We're looking at a situation where usually when you play this game and you don't roleplay, nearly as hard as you could, you will be the top liege. And being the top liege is honestly missing out on half the game. Speaking of missing out, oh yeah, look at that. He hung the banner. Very, very nice. Now, Erega Asna, if in your eternal wisdom, you could simply release me, I'd even pay you money. I mean, I could do this right now. I did check, of course. I could simply say, ransom yourself and then money or a favor. But I want to see what he does. And there he is. What is he doing? Erega Asna. Right, I lose 30 opinion. I take this seriously, I take this personally. But it's interesting. I said this earlier. He could banish me. He has a banishment reason. And with imprisoning me, he has forfeited his imprisonment reason, meaning that only his banishment reason remains. But he doesn't take it. He could banish me and inherit every single county that I have. But instead, he just says, bring peace to my kingdom. Forfeit your claim to it, and forfeit all the claims that you have on the other vassals. Stop being a threat to them. I think Prince Vea will keep this in mind. I think Prince Vea is much more negative towards him now than he was in the very, very, very close past, but honestly, this is significantly better than what it could have been. I think to a degree Erega Asna was placating the church by imprisoning me, but he's not doing anything despite me being excommunicated. He's not forcing me to embarrass myself in front of the church. He's just bringing peace to the kingdom. I will, as a character, I will take this very, very personally. I am not a fan of him forcing me to rescind my claims. But, admittedly, it could have been significantly worse. Now, I will, oh, I can't do it again? Wait, why can't I try to... Okay, did I lose my witch secret or something? I can't invite it to my coven? Am I losing it? I think it is... Oh, no, there it is. Oof, okay. I was worried then. No, we will definitely... Every lover that we have will be added to our witch coven. That is the way that goes. And this is a really good one here, because we will now get home advantage. Seduce scheme success chance. Success chance against courtiers and guests plus 50%. Excellent. Truly, truly excellent. We just built a building as well in La Pordie. We are doing great. I will build this up for sure. I would like to build a harbor. My god, this is just a great amount of money that we're making already, despite, of course, our control actually being fairly low. I have to tell you, I'm a big fan. Let's take a look at the control levels. 25 and 42, and we're already at 1.3k and 3.6 bucks. This will be a very nice and, you know, tall, tight building. I think this will be quite excellent. Good herbs. The herbalists and physicians of Marzana have become famous in recent times for the quality of their herbal medicines, made using various plants, herbs, minerals, and so on, that are uniquely native to Marzana. That is good to hear, or we should invest and support this important work. This option increases how long the county modifier in question will last compared to the default option. Right. So it is 6 years versus 12 years, and the modifier is kind of okay. It's not too bad. I mean, I do care about it, though. Access to herbs, to... maybe also, you know, herbs that initiate hallucinations. I think that would be something we could be quite interested in. Then again, you know what? No, I'll do it. Yeah, I don't see why not. It's a good thing. Without a doubt, it will give me more access to, you know, certain herbs that we may need. Now, what I might want to do is, if he does send the bailiffs, we could get our county control up very, very quickly, but... popular opinion would also be impacted significantly. You know what? No, I will not petition him. The king will not see me. I swore fealty and everything, and he makes me revoke my claims. Again, could have been so much worse, but... oh my god, what kind of... the events that this character is getting. I believe this is from Viet, right? The events that this character is getting are actually insane. Light of the Ancestors. Last night I had a most wonderful dream. I found myself basking in a realm... you get it? Basking? Okay. In a realm of infinite light. Nothing but light. And saw before me many men and women, some of whom I recognized as my deceased relatives. Even those I did not recognize, I knew were my distant ancestors. We neither talked nor interacted directly, and I merely basked, here's it again, in their benevolent presence. After I woke up, I felt most blessed. Prince Veyafaki. He lives his life into a midlife crisis, into one of the worst midlife crises you could have. Comes out excommunicated. Turns into a witch, and all of a sudden reconnects to his ancestors. This, without a doubt, is the work of the Black Goat. Of the goat that protects these lands, that protects this dynasty. The wolf and the goat stand together. I'm blown away by what the game is delivering me here. I don't have to roleplay. The game does it for me. The game has crafted this character. It honestly is utterly insane. Now, let's hope that we can strengthen our bond by, you know, inducting her into witchcraft. I cannot force Dazine to see the truth, but I have done all I can to open her mind to it. I pray to the Haunt God, literally fitting, by the way, that Dazine is connected to something in our innocent conversations and the sacred texts I left in her chambers. Now I must go to her and extend the invitation to his communion, or give up on this endeavor. Please. Well, okay, showing off. This morning I had a delightful encounter with a charming young servant. We joked, we laughed, and we parted with glad hearts, all because I made the effort to be somewhat more personable. Perhaps I could apply this bout to flirtatious confidence to more than just my personal affairs. Right, attraction opinion is very nice. Wow. The courtier opinion goes down so far, but the attraction opinion fixes it. I'm exclusively interested in this. My gaze alone could charm Satan himself, and maybe it even has. Now, a new novice. I watch the sleeping shape of Dazine while I send a quick prayer to the Haunt God. As soon as the last whispered word passed my lips, she stirs as if her subconscious mind has waited for this moment. When I step out of the shadows and offer Dazine his blessing, there's no fear or hesitation in her eyes. No, her acceptance is wholehearted and hungry. We have another witch. And now, it is time for her daughter, Tadefi, to join us. First, by being seduced, then by also becoming a witch indeed. What do we have here? Caught in the act. The solar is just barely illuminated, and Nunya and I are pressed close. Our lips are all but meeting. The night air is cool, but she feels molten to the touch, and her breath comes in short, ragged gasps. You can see that See, this is why, legitimately, I found it so much more interesting to not get rakish, just going to a nameless brothel, you know, with no NPCs, nobody involved, it's just an event, you just lose stress, maybe picked up a negative, lover's pox trait. This is so much more interesting. This is basically, we are having affairs left and right, we only have a couple of few dedicated lovers that are part of our cult, but Nunya isn't immune to us. We are having affairs, again, left and right. At just about the worst possible moment, my Jorigiko Nagusi Mayor Joanna strides into the room already at full bluster. Great Marquess, we must discuss my account. Oh, I didn't see that you had company. Why, Nunya, I didn't see you there, so I could basically throw her under the bus, or under the carriage, if you will. We were just leaving for somewhere more private. I could form an intimate relationship with her, or Joanna, get the door, become lovers with both of them, and you gain silver-tongued. 57% chance. How could I say no to this, right? You take them both for a tumble. Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say. Anyone can buy a token of affection, big or small. If I want to impress Tadefi, I should send her something truly special. Right, I would like to send her a handkerchief with my crest on it. Impressing her, of course, because I am noble, I am very important. I received the crested handkerchief you sent. I am unsure as to why you sent it. We are still at 85%. I'm not too worried. But even more importantly, so many remain to be induced into the new order. Nunya has come to me, and I immediately knew why. She is with child, and there is little doubt in her heart as in mine as to who the father is. A child born outside the legitimate bounds of marriage is destined to the life of a bastard. Is that a fate I want for my child? So, what I will do here, okay, will be weird in terms of gameplay. This is joyous news. I will basically make it clear that this is my child. I will do this so that we mechanically end up with this child within our house. Otherwise, A, I wouldn't have any heirs, but more importantly, I couldn't found a witch coven without more members of my house. And this is exactly what we're doing. We are creating a family from the seeds of this land, if you will. Directly sourced in the mountains of the Pyrenees, and its people not just with a Christian promise to a spouse, you know, created for an alliance. No. We are creating something that goes much beyond that. So, oh, this is joyous news. The world learns of the child's true lineage. Nunya de la Rioja, unborn's child, will be known to have been conceived outside of wedlock. Nunya and I. That my lover Nunya is carrying my child is now common knowledge. That our dalliance could lead to this was a possibility I was aware of, but to be faced with the reality of it, now the truth is out. I am more than happy with this. More than happy. Aggravating attractions, oh my. Right. I will make sure that upset smile leaves her face. Maybe she's into it. Who knows? Let's find out. Nobody's into that. Nobody's into that. That's okay. It happens. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot this. Of course, Nunya, I will forgive you. There you go. I will grant you a pardon for your transgressions of being my lover. He has finished the task. That is excellent, because this means that I can now push him towards Labrie, also enhancing that county. Man, these counties, by the way, are great. If you actually look at the buildings, they are all so built up because they were the primary titles of various characters. We have a great domain. Do not make a mistake. It is an outstanding domain. My obnoxious paramour, as I draw close to Tadefi, I do not know whether to tear the clothes from her body or punch the lenient smile of her face. She kisses me, a challenge, and I drag her closer, a fitting riposte. The warring feelings in my chest are echoed by our bodies. We spent the night delivering both insult and bliss onto each other. Kiss me again, my loathsome witch. If she only knew what that actually meant. But look at that. Yeah, this is an animalistic, I think, relationship. And that very much fits the route that we are taking now. With that, I will, of course, take the mother of one of my future children. I will attempt to take her into the witch circle as well. Maybe this can be the very last thing. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Maybe this can be the very last thing that we do in this episode. I was looking at this. I would love to recruit more knights, but obviously we need to increase control, so I can't really do that. Release. As night fell, I found myself alone in my chamber suddenly, and I don't know how it started. I just began crying. I sobbed for what must have been hours, letting out all my pain and sadness. When it stopped, I felt a little better. Prince Vaya. I mean, honestly, this is up for interpretation. I'm going to end it here because this is such a significant event in his life. First of all, this can be seen in a positive light. Things aren't over, not yet at least. He is, for the first time in ages, underneath the stress limit. On the other side, of course, this very much sounds like depression, doesn't it? But there's so much to be done, Bea. So much more to be continued, and I am excited for our homegrown witch coven. This is the craziest and yet somewhat most reasonable character that we have had in this series, and I hope to see you tomorrow. For the moment, later, alligator.